Hello, Fini. Welcome. Hello, everyone. Hello, our listeners. Welcome to another episode. We will again be talking about employee health. Here I have Fini. Fini, would you like to first introduce yourself? What do you do? And
Yes,
then we go
sure.
on from there.
Hello. So my name is Fini Cooper. I'm a breathwork facilitator, and I work with clients on a full spectrum of kind of breathwork offerings, all the way from functional breathing for day to day to deeper therapeutic practices for trauma release and integration. So I kind of cover a lot. I've done a few different trainings and kind of cover quite a broad spectrum of it, and ultimately just wanting to help people optimize their health through the power of their breath. So that's
That's great to hear. So you're fully concentrating on employee health, and I would like to ask, what are the main symptoms you are facing? Like, what are the main problems employees are facing, and why is employee health important for the companies?
Well, obviously stress is the biggest issue in the workplace, and I think obviously that has a knock-on effect on everything, on days taken off, on productivity, on just general employee morale. So I found it's so important. And actually, companies are making more of, well, they're kind of having to make more of an effort in the employee well-being space, because it's just so needed. And what I find is when I work in the corporate space, that I was initially thinking, oh, maybe people won't be that open to it. Maybe people will be like, what is this? You know, we all breathe kind of thing. But actually, I found people are so open to it because they just so want to have something that can help them. So I find there's an increasing, as I continue, there's an increasing a number of people of take-ups on the offerings in the workplace, because people just are kind of at the end of their tethers at the moment, and just with the way the world is at the moment and increasing pressure, there's just so much going on. So it's of huge importance, and I think both employers and employees are kind of really starting to utilize it.
Yeah, and we see more and more people working hybrid. So, people started experiencing different problems. Like, I've been teaching in the corporate environments for over 20 years myself, and I've been seeing different problems like, nowadays than the problems we had 5 years ago, 10 years ago. The whole hybrid working, I think, led to other problems. People have started having concentration issues, too much overload, because if you're working from home, you mainly don't have any breaks, and there are a lot of stuff that can intrude with your work. The door rings and that happens and this happens, and in the space. Yeah, so what is the main difference? Like, I want to talk about what's going on in the corporate environment and people's lives, and especially employee problems we're facing in the last 5 years, because I see that it has changed a bit, remote working, and the situation has changed. And also, the economic crisis and what's up, many people, losing their jobs. A lot of things are happening around the world. So what do you mostly see with, on top of stress, like some maybe symptoms people are having due to stress, or due to wrong breathing habits, or due to wrong thinking habits, or due to the environment?
Yeah, well, I guess it's just a whole number of things, such as mainly feeling anxiety from stress, and just feeling and getting to that point of burnout, and all the other symptoms that can come with it, because it's obviously when people's nervous systems are really dysregulated, which they are from stress and from various things that are going on from continued stress, then all these other things that are happening of really bad digestive issues, and all these kind of physical ailments I'm seeing a lot of, and also people just feeling a little bit kind of apathetic, so low motivation, because probably a lot of people have kind of moved into a bit of a freeze state in their nervous system because it's just a complete overload. And I'm finding people have just got really low motivation. They just don't really know where to turn or what to do, or how to kind of move forward. And all they see, especially with, families and rising living costs and everything, people are having to provide for their families and stuff like that, as well as working from home a lot of the time. So they're kind of juggling, often, perhaps mothers more likely working at home, but juggling the children as well. There's that added kind of pressure. And I just think everything's just rising and rising more and more at the moment. So it's just so important more than ever to be able to think how we can really get these practices into companies. And I found that it's really, like, I did a corporate on Friday online, and it's just so people at the end, the lady kind of who was introducing me said, would you, if anyone wants to get in touch for a one-to-one with Fini or whatever, then, just let us know. And there was like a whole thing in the chat of, me, I've got terrible anxiety. Me, I feel awful. Please, go, like, yes. And I was just like, oh God, it's you can just see the desperation at the moment, and it's showing up. I guess it's just because we're working with a nervous system and an overloaded nervous system. It's all those knock-on effects that can happen, which there are plenty of them, which comes from just excessive stress.
Yeah, I think we're like facing something big here, and I've been seeing it for many years, but I think since the past 5 years, that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to found a project like Breath because I've been seeing that for a long time now. It's been going on for 5 years, and in the last 2 to 3 years it's, I think, been building, and people it's kind of like, I think there is this thing where life is too much for people to handle, and it's like, to handle life in the 21st century you need tools that will make you stronger. And it's like, I see it as maybe 10 years ago or 15 years ago, breath work taking some time to, mainly breath work for me means increasing the oxygen levels, so you have more energy and more oxygen, and more oxygen in your brain so you can think straight, and more oxygen in your body so you can have energy, because there is this chronic fatigue people are having.
Yes, that's
everybody is tired, and we didn't used to hear about problems like Alzheimer and attention deficit problems, ADD, ADHD. Now every 7 people out of 10 are talking about having concentration issues and attention deficit problems, and these are all problems that happen when we don't have enough oxygen in the brain. So I see breathwork mainly more on more a tool to increase the oxygen, increase the energy, increase your awareness, and build your coping mechanism. And from here, I would like to tap into like a question which we've been getting a lot as the Breath Hub family. What's the difference between breathwork and meditation? How do you see them different? And I have my also research and also a lot of things, of course, to share. Breathwork and meditation are very different, but sometimes people think breathwork and meditation are the same thing or very much aligned, but then breathwork is more physical, it's much more faster, much more effective. It's more to prevent. I think breathwork is the most powerful preventive tool on earth. It's not to heal symptoms, but to prevent you from having anxiety or stress or attention deficit problems. Because with daily breathwork, you can reach to sustainable health and well-being. You can stay strong and healthy mentally, physically, emotionally, and that's what we're after. So that would be a question I would like to ask you. What's the main difference between breathwork and meditation for our listeners?
Well, I would say, so with meditation, it's quite a lot more passive. It's sort of more of a mindful, sort of getting to know what's going on in your body, observing, being present. So there's not, obviously you're following your breath, you're breathing, but with breath work, it's a lot more kind of targeted, and you can do a lot more with it, in the sense that it's really going to start changing systems in your body. So it's going to really start helping with your emotional health, your mental health, your physical health. And it is a lot more kind of proactive, I would say, rather than that meditation is kind of like, you know, being with your body and sort of checking in what's going on and being present. But breathwork goes that step further. And it really is about, well, I see it as well in this modern day, it's really about starting to hack our physiology and starting to make changes, because in our world now, like, for example, if we were living as our ancestors did, however many hundreds of years ago, maybe more, we wouldn't really, it's my belief, we wouldn't need to be working with the breath quite as much as we are. Like, for now, because of everything that's going on, our sensory overload, our inputs, they're just constantly with the phones and emails and the workloads. Now more than ever, it's really, really important to actively hack our physiology, because otherwise, if we don't, it's so crucial, because if we don't, then we're going to just get into a worse and worse place. So yeah, I would say that's kind of the main kind of difference, I'd say. And I find that they work really well together. I find that doing breath work before meditation is great, because it's a more physical thing of, it can really get you to that place mentally a bit quicker as well, getting yourself more present, because you're actually really working with your physiology, you're really working with the nervous system a bit more strongly. And then to come into meditation after that, I always find is a really good kind of pairing. So they go really nicely hand in hand, but ultimately are quite different. So that's kind of the main thing that I always think of, the difference between the two.
Yeah, agree. Yeah. And I'm going to ask you, what do you think is easier to practice for the corporate environment, for the employees? Like, is breathwork easier to, practice for some people, in a comfort corporate environment, or meditation? What do you think?
I would definitely, I mean, maybe I'm biased, but I would say breathwork, because for this, one of the
me too.
Yeah, the simple fact, well, there are lots of different reasons, but one of the main reasons of, people at work, they've got so much going on, their minds are racing. If you just ask them to sit there and, just focus on your body, and their minds are probably still going to be racing. They know they've got lots to do. They know the workload is heavy. With the breath, it gives them an anchor for the mind, as well as actually making those changes physically in the body. And it allows them to kind of cut into that relaxation a lot more quickly. And it's providing them something. Obviously, I do some guided work in the corporate world, but then I also give them tools to take away. And it gives them a guide, something proactive to do, rather than sometimes I think meditation, if you've got a busy mind, you've got lots going on, to ask someone to just sit and be present, and it's not always available for people. If they've got a very active mind, what they need to do is they need to work with the nervous system quite actively to start down regulating, and also when they're doing breath work, move into a different brainwave state where they're not in this real high functioning high beta, which is,
but they're not calmed down as well, I think. Because with meditation and breath work, I think the main difference is, with meditation or breathwork techniques used for meditation, you get into this very calm state. But again, with other techniques that are going to change your chemistry or change the oxygen levels, you still are very much centered, but you're awake and centered. It's not like calming down. I think there is it's like that's of course both an opinion and an experience of a teacher, who has taught more than 40,000 people. In my experience, there is this whole misunderstanding about breath work and meditation, that breath work can only be used for meditation purposes or to calm down. But actually, what I've found out over the years is, especially in a corporate environment, the reason why they don't get meditation, I mean, some corporates do, or some corporates choose that as well, if they have problems like relaxing at night, sleeping problems, not being able to too much stress. Of course, calming down or breathing techniques that are used to calm down and meditate are great. But in the corporate environment, I see more and more that, people don't want to, people want to get rid of their stress, be more balanced emotionally, but they don't want to calm down.
Yeah.
Because too much calming down, it's like that meditation and meditative techniques, they are great at night, but I see more and more people and more companies that are asking for techniques that will help employees increase their performance rather than calming down, like get them balanced. Too much emotional imbalance happening, triggers, anxiety, panic attack. So the question with the companies nowadays are, okay, is meditation or meditative breathing techniques are the only way, to heal anxiety or panic attack? Can't people just be centered and full of energy? Do we have to calm down? To ease anxiety? So I see, that's why in my experience I see more and more, because we have, with Breath Hub as well, we have corporate packages and we regularly have meetings and also some introductory workshops with the companies. And there are two things I see, and I'm going to ask them whether you see that happening as well. The first thing is companies don't want their employees to fully be relaxed, and that's the reason why meditation package they are not choosing. There are some companies that are like no to meditation and meditative techniques and relaxing techniques, because they don't simply want their employees to be relaxed and letting go during the day. You know what I mean? They want their employees to perform better and be healthier. So more and more I see this demand of there are a lot of attention deficit problems, concentration issues, focusing issues. People are tired. People are overwhelmed. Too much work, too many things out there in life, in social media, at home, at work, everywhere, for emotional triggers happening, and also, to lead into people not being able to concentrate fully to their to their work. And I see more and more this need for a technique or for a tool, which is, I believe, breath work, which will give people energy, which will help them get focused and concentrated, which will help them to get centered immediately, and which will help them to go on with their daily lives, but like maybe in the middle of the day, practicing the method. And then you wake up, as you woke up that morning, you're fresh. Like this need to freshen up. The companies need kind of like a reset button during the day, not kind of which will put you into sleep like meditation or relaxation, but more like, how can we keep everyone awake, but again, centered and fully on, and that tool is breath work. That there is no other tool that can do that, instead of, if you don't increase your oxygen levels in your brain, that's why people start, feeling a bit weird in their thinking and foggy and, concentration issues. And then the second thing I'm seeing more and more, it's like there is this bias around meditation. And meditation practices are now seen more kind of like spiritual, but like with breath work and with breathing techniques, it's more kind of like down to earth. I see, I find it easier to explain because I'm a meditation teacher and a breath work teacher.
Yeah.
I mean, my experience, because I am, I love the whole meditation experience, and I'm a classic Vedic meditation teacher. I spend at least an hour meditating. So it's like, it's my thing. But so there is no like breath work is better than meditation, because I love them both. and I teach them both, but especially in the corporate environment, I see more and more people asking for, give me a technique. I don't want to just spend 20 minutes for, I do, but many people, I don't have the time to spend 50 minutes or 20 minutes for meditation. I want a technique that will center me, balance my emotions, give me the energy I want, like a reset button that will freshen me up in 3 minutes, 5 minutes. And I see a lot of demand for breath work in the corporate environment. It's like they don't know that they're demanding breath work, but they are demanding breath work. It's like, I need a reset button. I need a tool to freshen up, What do you think about everything I said?
What do you think about everything? Well, it's that's why it's so important to empower people with different techniques for different scenarios, being so specific about, okay, here's a great technique for if you've got a big work meeting and you're feeling really lethargic, or if you've got a big work meeting and you're feeling really stressed, then you can slightly downregulate. It's just all about empowering people to teach them about their nervous systems, then allowing them to be like, okay, how do I work with this? If I'm feeling in this state, how do I change that to shift into this state? Or if I'm feeling like that, how do I, so that then they can start to be quite empowered. And you can really, what's just so amazing about breathwork is that you can, more often than not, really just choose the state you want to be in via the breath, which in meditation, you don't really, it's sort of it is more just all about the calming down or, centering. Whereas with breath work, you can have a technique which is going to focus you, but it's also going to bring you to your body. It's going to make you feel centered at the same time because you're coming back to the body and you're focusing on that. So it's a kind of beautiful double thing that's going on. But even just teaching people how to breathe properly, because if just from moment to moment, day to day, without even adding the techniques as well, it's like if people are breathing, through their mouth, their connections in the brain between the different regions in the brain are disorganized. Even the simple act of breathing in and out through the nose is going to improve that cognitive function. It's just like there's just even that, just empowering people. Okay, what is the right way to be breathing day to day, moment to moment? Because a lot of people don't know. And even that, trying to retrain the body a little bit and check in throughout the day, am I breathing in the right way? Am I breathing, then that's going to also, even that level is going to help people with their performance at work and their energy and their oxygen levels and all that before we even get into the specific techniques. So I've sort of wandered off on a tangent. I don't even know where I went. But I don't know whether that's answered your question or not. But
it definitely did. It's like, it definitely did. And another question is, I see today's organizations tend to focus more on the cure rather than on preventive measures. What do you think about that? It's like, I think there are a lot of things to say about that.
Yeah, I think that's sorry, something vibrated. I do also think that is just a problem in our society in general. You go to the doctor and it's all like, it's always kind of fighting fires rather than preventing them. And I think it can be really simple to help prevent so many of these things. But we wait until, in our society generally, people are sick or burnt out or whatever before we actually do something about it. And it's so much easier to prevent something if we can just kind of get that into the narrative of, let's prevent, we know the tools, we know how to do it. We're showing you all this research, let's start preventing, rather than, because for companies, it makes absolutely no sense for them and their profit and their, to wait until an employee is burnt out and they have to have time off work. And then, it's just like, let's have something in place where they can learn to manage their own stress. And then companies are going to see, it'll be just so interesting if more companies do this, to just see, wow, okay, we don't have as many employees, you know, taking sick days because they can't cope and they're just, you know. So it would just be amazing. I'd love to see a world in which that was the case, but it's definitely, from what I see across different, you know, not even just the workplace, just generally across all areas of our society. We're not trying to, you know, we're going to see a doctor, then we're not trying to prevent, we're just fighting fires at the end.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a thinking habit as well. It's like most of us think like, you know, I'm gonna solve the problem when there is a problem or when the problem exists. But it's like there is a problem because you have been doing something wrong in the past, and it's like the problem doesn't appear overnight. It's like it builds and builds, especially with, you know, all kinds of health and wellness issues. That problem builds and builds and builds, and then you see the problem. It's like it's overload. Yeah, and that's been my mission for a long time now, and that's Breath Hub's mission as well. It's like, you know, I wanted to create a tool where, you know, people could turn to daily, and that's like what we're trying to explain to people. It's like if you use Breath Hub daily, it's like if you practice breath work daily, maybe it's gonna get boring, you know, after some time by yourself. That's why there is Breath Hub, because we have different content. We're trying to, you know, create interesting content so that people can use breath work daily for 3 to 5 minutes. Then they will be able to prevent themselves from, you know, something, happening with their health and well-being. I think like seeing that it's kind of like we need to have a different thinking habit over there. And I have one more question. Do you think more and more companies, it's like, how do you see it in the corporate environment? Do you think more and more companies are going to turn to and invest to preventive measures, or in the future, or do you think this is going to go on for, you know, some for some more time?
The optimist in me would like to think that companies are going to, you know, wake up more and more to the fact that it doesn't make any sense for them to wait and, you know, to wait until it's a kind of breaking point. It makes a lot more sense for absolutely everyone to move into that. Okay, we don't have a massive problem yet. Well, maybe they don't in the company. Let's make sure we don't, you know, we're getting more work for our employees. Let's try and get it while it's good, when everyone's still feeling okay, and let's implement this program where they can take these tools away and ultimately, you know, empower people. That's what I love about breathwork, is that it's so empowering. I mean, it's obviously we can eat well, we can exercise well, but the breath, you just have the opportunity to change your state at any given point, which is just so unique to anything else. Like, and
to be able to change the chemistry, the whole like, we changes how you feel, how you think, and
how your body's working, how the systems in your body, how well they're functioning. You know, it's absolutely incredible. And I really hope that companies will, I think they're going to have to, really, because as life gets even more stressful and people, you know, need to work even harder because they need to pay their bills, they're probably not going to be able to afford to go on holiday because, you know, everything's so expensive. It's just, I think the stress levels are only going to get worse. So I'm hoping that companies are going to think, okay, right, we need to kind of do everything we can because we're heading into quite a difficult period. So yeah, I would love to see it. I would love to see it. I'm holding out hopes.
Yeah, and also I think it's kind of like our job, our responsibility as teachers, and me as a teacher, and also as the founder of Breath Up. It's kind of like I see that we have a responsibility of, you know, telling everyone the importance of, you know, choosing tools like breath work that will keep you, you know, stay healthy and well, that will help you reach to sustainable health and well-being. before you get sick. And I think we have a responsibility on telling the corporates and telling the companies that the results you get depend on your employee health. It's like, you know, the results you get, for example, in your sales team, how much sales you make, in your product team, how good the product is. Everything depends on how healthy your employees are. And I'm a CEO myself, so I have a big team I manage every day. And I see it in all of them. It's kind of like if they don't have enough enough oxygen in their brain, if their brains aren't functioning properly, if they are not breathing properly and they don't have enough oxygen, you know, they won't be able to think straight. They lose their concentration and
brain
focus
fog
and creativity and, you know, inspiration. It's like the result I get as a big, you know, as a company depends on the employee, the people I work with, their health. And so I think that's it's like, you know, if you want your company to get better results, invest in employee health. And I don't know any other natural effective tool than breath work. It's like if I did, I would probably be teaching that, because I'm someone who is very much focused on, and that's been my life's mission for over 20 years. So I sincerely, from all my heart, deep from my heart, would love to, you know, help people. I love helping people, you know, get to that sustainable health and well-being, because I see that everything in our lives changes. It's like when I am healthy, my relationships are healthy. When I'm healthy, you know, my business, everything. It's like when I have a healthy brain. And there is this thing happening in the world. People, you know, practice all kinds of methods, and they do this, they do that, psychoanalysis, psychotherapy, psycho this, psycho that, and then, you know, trying to meditate. And I usually find myself telling my students, look, if you don't have a healthy brain, if you don't have enough oxygen in the brain, you won't have a healthy brain. How are you going to benefit from all those techniques like meditation, coaching, psychotherapy, whatever, you know? We need healthy brains. It's like a healthy body, a healthy brain, a healthy breathing is the first thing we need to start at. Then everything else comes second.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I used to work in organizational psychology, so it was very much about kind of the, you know, how to make teams work better, coaching on, or, you know, kind of trying to make employees have a better experience. But I just found myself, I was like, there's something really missing here. And I didn't really know what it was until I discovered breathwork. And then I was like, this is really what's missing. And what we really need to be doing is encouraging breath work as if, you know, as the same thing as eating healthily, is the same thing as exercising, is to make it that normal in people's daily lives, because it's like having your consistent breath work every single day. It's like going to the gym. You're building that muscle, you're building this, and your nervous system just loves this consistency every day with the breath. And if we can just get it, it's like, that's the other piece, you know, it's the food, but the breath is the most important piece. Yet we don't really focus on that for our health, do we? It's like people just think a lot about what they're eating when they're exercising, but the breath is the thing, and all the other systems in the body aren't going to be functioning so well if the breath isn't right. So yeah, it's just so passionate about it.
Yeah, exactly. I see it. Yeah, me too. I see breath work, 5 minutes of breath work, as if, you know, you get an energy pill.
Yeah.
You know, you eat, you drink healthy, and then it's like I mean, our body creates ATP, pure life energy, with our breath. It's like you can live without water and without food, you know, for weeks. But without breath, it's like, it's just, yeah, that's sitting kind of like the core of it. So we have a huge responsibility talking about it. Okay, one last thing, and then I'm going to end the podcast. Of course, I'll give you, you know, some time to, maybe you want to talk about something you just want to talk about. One last thing is, I see that breath work will definitely be part of medical care in 10 years. It's kind of like, in my experience, it has to be part of medical care in 10 years because it's sitting in the core of our health. What do you think about that?
Oh, well, I'm totally down for that. And I feel the conversation about breath work and the importance of breathing is definitely, because there are all these books coming out, and you know, it's obviously Wim Hof and people like that who are making it very, very well known. The conversation about the breath is just expanding all the time, and people are really realizing its importance. And I think the medical profession perhaps might be, you know, a bit slower to catch up on it, but I think it's gonna have to incorporate breath as a very key factor, because the science and the papers coming out about it every day about the breath and the importance of the breath for all different systems and areas of the body and mental health, it's just impossible to ignore, really. And I think it's the duty of the medical profession to see this and to act accordingly. And I hope, and I think it will, but I don't know when it will happen, but I think it's got to happen fairly soon.
Yeah, if we live 10 more years, hopefully we will. We'll see. I say 10 years, in 10 years' time. Yeah, thank you. Is there anything you want to add, Fini?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow. Just to say that I think we've kind of covered a lot of the stuff that I wanted to talk about, but just the importance of this coming back to this piece always of empowering people, because it can be, I used to really struggle with my mental health. I used to really struggle and feel very kind of fearful around, I don't have any control over this. I'm just going to have to, this is just me. This is how I am. And I think that's how a lot of people feel. They really, you know, work. And I used to have, like, years ago, take time off work because of my own mental health issues. And if I'd have known about this tool before and I'd have utilized it as I do now, I would have been in such a better position. And just the best thing about it is that you don't have to feel so much of this fear of, oh my God, I can't control what's going on in my body. I can't control my mental health. The fact is, people can really be empowered to make big changes themselves, and they don't need to, you know, spend loads and loads of money. They don't need to take a pill. They don't need to, you know, obviously medication is a different topic and necessary and definitely in some areas, but just to empower people. I think that's just the most important message that I like to give, of like, you have more control than you think, and you can really make some changes, and you don't need, you know, a magic pill necessarily, or this and the other, or to spend thousands of pounds on this really weird health treatment or whatever. You can just use your breath as the best starting point.
Yeah, and I see, in the end, I see regular breath work. I always, you know, say regular, because I'm you know, unless it's the regular, I don't think people will be able to get the results we're talking about. But
exactly,
you know, regular breath is kind of like a tool that helps us to experience the best version of ourselves. It's like it helps us, and it helps me to experience the best version of myself, like with my full capacity. Since I started breathwork, I have been able to use my full capacity, like my brain capacity, my whole physical body, everything, and I can live full on, but with a, you know, wrong breathing habit, with less oxygen in the body, and you know, your whole system, it doesn't function well. I was there 20 years ago. I was a shallow breather, so I know what that is. And I see, you know, that's why people feel tired, and that's why people lose concentration, focus. It's like, I'm like, oxygen, just simple.
And every cell in the body needs oxygen to survive, right? So it's like, we need to be well oxygenated. And if we're breathing shallow in the chest, and we're just not going to be getting that oxygenation in the body. And it's just so important for everything.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Fini. It was amazing to talk to you.
Thank you. So nice
Someone
to chat.
who got it.
Yeah.
The importance of breathwork.
Let's keep spreading the message.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much for your time, and also for this wonderful chat. And thank you for listening to all of our listeners, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now, Fini.
Bye. Thank you so much. Bye.